6 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started on this Parks meeting, council workshop. Share with you some things about the Parks Master Plan and share with you a little bit of where we have been, as we've been a lot of places here in the last couple of years with this plan, where we are, and then what we'd like to do moving forward. And before I do that, I'd like to welcome Jennifer Benton as our newest Parks Committee member. Appreciate having you on the committee, and we call him an old hand by now, but Drew Martin, who's also recently joined us, so we're glad to have him. We're also going to hear from McClellan Engineering tonight, represented by Dan Bryant and Ruxin Powell. We'll have some things to say about where the plane is right now. And what we really want to do tonight is just update you again on where we are, to address any questions or concerns or things you'd like to discuss about the plan. And what we're reaching toward is later this month at the council meeting to seek the council's approval of the master plan so we can move forward with it, at least in the initial stages of it. We have a few areas that we want to really focus on to get that started, and Keith will talk a little bit about that. But a little bit about where we've been. And, you know, what was it, 2.5 years ago? We put together the steering committee or something like that of 44 people, many of which are represented at the state. A lot of the community that we met over 18 months over at Bishop Park, and had a lot of good input, and a lot of facilitation from the engineers to work towards this plan. And we had a survey, 11 people. It's a lot of people, folks. And so both of those things, the steering committee discussions and the survey input, really provided the input we needed so that we could have a plan moving forward to be implemented over 20 years. And Parks and Recreation team has done a lot with it. You all have done a lot with it. And we've had some challenges over the last couple of years as a city financially. But we still think it's important to have a plan in place that we can move forward with in a meaningful way, especially one that's got such a grassroots orientation. People, I think, are expecting it, and we want to deliver it. So, I want to talk a little bit about what our priorities are going to be as a committee, get your feedback, and you'll have the opportunity as well to take the plan with you tonight. And there's a workshop. This is the next Tuesday night?
Tuesday before council,
So
at noon.
So date?
23rd.
23rd, okay, thank you. So we want you to be able to take this plan with you tonight. We'll discuss it some to the extent that you want to discuss it or have questions. It's kind of overwhelming to put a plan like that in your hand and say, if you got any questions, we want to give you this time between now and the next workshop to look it over, come there, address any issues or questions you might have. And what we're seeking is your approval at the regular meeting later in the month. It's an ambitious plan, I think you'll see, as we know. It's also a very practical one. It's very intentional. And it's my view that a 20-year plan is really not a plan. It's a vision. And what this really is a roadmap of where we'd like to go and set the right priorities as we implement this. And we'll change it along the way as opportunities come along, challenges come along, but we'll do it in conjunction with the council and people of Bryant, just like we've developed it. And obviously it needs to be flexible with respect to financing. We can't do it all at one time. But we're going to implement it smartly and with priorities that we'll talk about is what we'd like to do immediately upon approval. Get that started. Keith will talk a little bit about that later on. So kind of with that setup, backdrop, many of you may know that process we've been through, that I want to remind people, and also there's some new folks want them to have a sense of where we've been. I'd like for McClellan Engineering to kind of talk about the plan in its current iteration after some modifications that we've had over the initial draft, and Dan Bryant and Russ Mattel are going to present some things tonight about the plan, and I think they've got some ideas.
Okay, thanks, Richard. And thank you, everybody. We're excited to be here and happy to be to this point to be able to present something to you. You stole some of my thunder with kind of going back through history. I'm just going to kind of go over some of where we've been, and then Rushin's going to kind of run through. He's going to give you as fast as you can snapshot of what you've got before you. But obviously, as you go back and you look at it, you might have some questions about what we're doing. So just kind of the overview. This project for us started a few years ago. We started with that steering committee and working with the Parks Department, and then working with that steering committee to kind of lay down a vision, start talking about plans. So that goes back to 2022. You hit on the number of surveys we did. We wanted to bring that up. But during that fall period of 2022, we were able to go out to each one of the wards and kind of conduct a public meeting with folks. We had a great young man who helped us with popsicles, and we did a whole bunch of sticky pad ideas and thoughts, and got a lot of great feedback from folks all over the community. And that was fun for us to kind of put all that together, put together the graphics, capture the ideas, and then take those back. And when we took those back, we heard a lot of thoughts and ideas and dreams and wants that people wanted. So we started kind of looking at concept plans, and initially we developed 3 to kind of just show folks, show the committee, the steering group, what would come out of the master plan. So we presented those first 3 late into fall of 22 and early 23, and then based off of that feedback and the other feedback from the survey, we jumped into kind of looking at all the different parks and the different things that we've heard from the community that we wanted to put into the different parks. And some of y'all have seen them, the different concepts that we've developed for parks around, whether it's Midland or fire, or what is it called now? All first responders. I want to keep calling it fire. Different parks around town. And then, after we've created those master plan or concept plans for the different parks, we came back and started processing all the data that we had and developing the report that you've got before you now. Presented kind of a draft of that a little while ago, and now we're here to kind of present the master plan and kind of run through it with y'all. So if you want to dive through this real quick, Rushin's going to kind of talk you through as fast as we can, because that's an awful big document. Just some of the highlights. So you may want to listen and just kind of watch on the screens, and then you can kind of get back to the book and kind of follow or take that home and do a little digging.
Hey, so good evening, guys. I'm Wushin Tao from National Consultant Engineers. So I'm just here to give you the nuts and bolts of this master plan document. So firstly, we want to make this thing as pretty as possible. So we're using the Bryant blue as the primary color, and also we are using the green color from that logo we created for this master plan as a kind of primary color for this document. Here is the front and the back page of the document. And we have total of 318 pages, 9 chapters, including all those like mission statement, introductions, process, all of it. And I will go through it chapter by chapter as much as possible today, so you can have a better understanding of the document. So first comes out with the mission statement, and we have get the mission statement from the park committee and put it right there. And of course, Chris has been heavily involved into the entire process. So he provided a very nice narrative for our mayor's call over there. And glad we can put your smiley face on that as well. And yeah. So if we go to chapter 2, introductions, this is just a typical introduction page for each chapter. So we will have, normally we'll have, if you see that square on the left page, we'll have some key points to tell you what this chapter about, and I'll have an overview on the right side to have a little bit explanation of it. Sometimes we will have some bordered text on it. Which will indicate that we have those kind of important concepts in that chapter. So normally within the chapter, for the sub-chapter, we always start with a nice, beautiful picture of our parks and also an overview of that content. And for example, here we will have the background knowledge of our city of Bryant. So we will have our history of the Bryant and history of our parks, and of course some of the historical photos we have to give the audience a little bit better understanding of the background of this document. Then we, for example, in the introductions, we will have our vision and goals. Vision and goals is the most important kind of thing in this document. We have planned everything. It's just all according to this vision and goals. It's more like a design principle for us to develop this document. We were including like our 2040 vision here, and also indicate what we are going to do, achieve in the year 2040. And here is all those 10 goals and objectives under it as well. So I'm not going to read all of the 10 of that, but it's just going to be appear everywhere in this document. So all these 10 goals are all kind of picked, ranked, and also discussed in our Bureau committee meetings. So a lot of those contents are all correlated to those 10 goals. And we have chapter 3. If you guys are a little bit lost, chapter 3 will be on page 26. Yeah. So we explained and document all our planning process. So if you see the next pages of that, we have a small box over there. Sometimes those sub-chapter will have some bolded text over there to show you some of the important information within this sub-chapters. So for example, in the next page, we will have that in our actual sequence when we are doing the planning for this totaling process. And of course, one of the important ones from that is the community engagement. So we actually document all of it since very beginning of this project when we form steering committees. That is with our city officials, design professionals like us, and also a lot of other people in this committee, our city, our kind of residents representatives from total of 20 plus stakeholders. We discuss our goals and objectives. We share our research kind of results with them, and also we brainstorming all the kind of ideas for our park improvement. So we also conduct workshop for each ward. It's going to be on page 44, and we gather in those for every ward, and we gather first-hand kind of information from the citizens to hear about their user experience of the current park facilities, and also directly ask them what do you want to see in the future for our parks. of course, we have those online, for the online survey we sent out, I believe it's June 2022. We totally have over 1,100 people participated in that. From that survey, we kind of get a lot of, we collected those data and do some analysis on it, and showing all those data and all the percentage we have for this project over here. So it's going to, yeah. Okay, so chapter 4, page 62. So we got all the stuff from the communities, so we will see, we also examine what the existing conditions we have. Normally there is two levels of existing conditions in this document. One is more like a macro level, which is like about cities' demographic profile. For example, it's like how many people we have, and we're using, and what's the age group, what's the income of this community over here in Bryant. So we're using like stacks, graphs, and maps to show that. So if you go to page 68, we will have another, page 72, we have another kind of level, which is more micro level, which is the existing conditions of our existing park. We kind of have their locations, showing the locations of those parks, what they are looking right now from the aerial, which is page 82. And the following pages also showing the existing kind of bike and pedestrian network of our park system, and also some of the existing recreation facilities in our park, which were located all around the city of Bryant. Of course, for each park, we have a small info sheet of that. We have the size of the park, the location, the address, the amenities they have. We go through and examine all the conditions of those amenities. So in this way, we can indicate some of the design opportunities for this particular park. And glad we get some data from park department, how much we are cost for maintain this park currently, and we do a little bit projections for what it's going to be cost to maintain in 2040. So of course, a good park system, they also comes out with a good service and programs they have. It's also considered one of the existing conditions here. We kind of categorize those programs and also list some of them to just tell people some of the programs you might just get involved and participate in all those programs in City of Bryant. So we got all those kind of information, and we jump to the need assessment. So we got all existing we have now, so we are going to push forward to what we're going to need in 2040. So if you're going to page, I think this is page 116. So we did a research on the recreational trend on national, regional, as well as the local level. So based on the current and historical patterns, we also comes out with analysis on the for example, the participation trends, active level of some of the programming and some of the sports activities. Now, for example, if you go into this page it's on page 118, you have all those tables to showing what's the national kind of movements of those kind of sports. For example, pickleball is like developing really fast over here. It's like, we can find it, it's like a 21% increase from 2019 to 2020. It's some kind of information in this part of the document. Also, if you go to page 130, and we have a kind of more local level of the data, which is the local sport and market potential. This data is like we have, for example, we have 100 as the national average, and then if you above 100, it means more people in Bryant are participating in those kind of activities. Less than is less people participate. So for example, the city of Bryant, we have more people goes for disc golf, fishing, and boating. So we might take this into the consideration for the future development of park facilities. Of course, we also have something called the survey, the level of service standard, which is based on the census data, U.S. census data, and the population projection of the city of Bryant. So this will give you literally what exact number of the facility we need for 2040. So if you go to page 137, the dark number is what we have now in Bryant, and the light green numbers behind is what we need in 2040 to kind of just make everybody satisfied in this community. So, if we get back to it, so we also have some peer cities data on it, so we can do some comparison with them. So page 148 is the chapter 6. So this is will be we call it planning framework. It's based on all the info we get from the past chapters, and so we can proposing possible kind of objective and strategies to achieve our 2040 vision. For example, one of that was like in total we have 10 of the categories we have. It's all correlated to the 10 goals that we set up earlier in this document. Okay, I think the summary is agree with what I say. Yeah, so kind of in each of those categories, we also have different objectives go with that. So, so I'm not going to go through all of it. Might spend a little bit of time, go back and read it. So for example, this is another one which is about maintenance and operation. In those kind of chapters, we also put some pictures to support what we've done. Actually, what we've done here in the city of Bryant. So the most important part of this document will be the master plan. I believe all of you guys have seen the renderings we provide last year, and this kind of is just going to be a function as overarching kind of overarching design for us to hopefully implement it in the future. If he goes to page 214, it will be have a nice kind of location map of the future or 14 parks we proposed for 2040. And each of them will be also in this similar format we see before, with concept we have and also location map right next to it. So next page we also have our bike and pedestrian network for the 2014 vision, and also the accessibilities for all the kind of recreational facilities for this 2040 vision. of course, we will have nice kind of renderings for all the parks we propose. For example, this one is the first responder parks located north of the North Lake Drive, in between the elementary school and the fire station, and can serve for the big populations around that area. Normally, for this, we will consult with this format. For example, the right pages were going to be the concept plan, and for the left will be short narratives and all the keys and also the imageries for those plans. I believe some of those plans will have the perspective renderings. So after we release all those plans in, I believe, last October, we kind of, I think the park department conduct a feedback survey for it. And if you go into the page 254, and we have the feedback survey shows like 85% of total positive overall rating of it, and over 70% with a very satisfied rating for our concept things. So we kind of documented those data here in this document, and we use it as a kind of thing to help develop stuff which I'm talking about here is more like a construction kind of schedule for all of our 14 parks. It's in page 258. So we kind of give a very basic planning level of the cost estimate here, and also line up all the timeline, all the parks in the timeline from 2024 this year to all the way to 2040. Some of the parks, because they are so big, we have to kind of separate it into phases so we can build it, budgeting and build it over a certain period of time. So the next page will be a kind of more detailed table to tell you how much money is going to cost and how much money we're going to maintain to those parks all throughout the years. So kind of one of the last chapter is the implementation. So we got all the designs, all the get all the people wants, and so how are we going to implement it? So this thing we always go back, of course, always go back to our 10 goals and visions we set up early for 2040. So we will kind of propose some of the action plans according to those 10 goals and objectives. And those action plans is in a table format. So we will show the time frames, those time frames of those actions, whether it is the ongoing actions or it's can be achieved in a short or longer term. And also we have another kind of column to see whether it's correlated to other actions. One action is correlated to another action or not. So it's more like a checklist for park department or even the city of even for those residents here to kind of for monitoring our implementations all through the year. And of course we are going to, this is page 286, we are going to suggest some funding sources in order to achieve a sustainable and healthy funding program for the city and for the park department. And page 292. So I know we already have a very good relationship with our athlete groups and all the other groups, stakeholder groups. So we also want to keep it this way in a more healthy way, and hopefully establish new relationships with other groups to make sure everybody can utilize our facilities and perform the best practice to manage our program. So it's almost the end of our document. So the last chapter will just be the appendix to have all the something like survey results and source and references at this. So what's our next step is hope you guys go back and read and make any suggestions to us so we can do a final edits for this document, and hopefully we can get the city council to adapt it soon. Okay, any questions or something? I think Dan, I, and Keith going to be happy to answer.
One of the things I like about this plan, and I learned a lot out of it, too, is the national perspective and what, the ratio should be. That gives us some idea of what to shoot for, and I thought that was extremely helpful.
Yeah.
I think if you look at those other cities and what they have, obviously they have different funding models, but I think this gives us some things to look at and the direction to take. So that combined with the community input, I like the plan. I know it's a lot to absorb tonight, but hopefully we'll have the opportunity between now and the next meeting or the next workshop to develop questions beyond what you might have tonight. So are there any questions or comments that y'all have at this point?
Yeah, no, I go through a lot of stuff. Just anything, just shoot.
Keith, I'd like him to kind of dive in a little bit to what we like to do in the short term. Like I said, our objective is to implement this over time and have it be, it's an ambitious plan, but it's got to be a flexible plan to respond to opportunities and challenges that come up, and including financing and those kind of things. There's a few areas that we'd like to get into immediately where I'll have these speak to a little bit.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you all for being here tonight. What a great turnout for a rainy night after a very exciting day yesterday. So first off, before I get started, I want to mention that, this has been a over 2 year process that we talked about. So through this time, all of us, Parks Committee, Council, City Administration together have been accomplishing things. That introduction page that Rashin showed right at the beginning, that's our aquatics facility with a completely open roof that is functioning the way it was supposed to. So I know Kristen can back me up on this, but yesterday seeing the eclipse through that open roof was pretty cool to be in the aquatics facility and have the beautiful day and wide open, and then all of a sudden it's dark for a couple of minutes outside. So I thought that was really unique for a few of our visitors and our staff as well to be there. Also, years ago when McClellan did the assessment of Ashley Park, the fields rated as poor. I am pretty confident in saying if they went out and evaluated those fields today, they probably would not get a poor rating anymore. So there's a lot of things that we've already been accomplishing as we've gone along through this. Like Richard said, this is an ambitious plan, but I do believe it's achievable. If you look at it as a whole, it looks like a lot. But 20 years is a long time as well. So what I want to do is just kind of talk about what the next couple of years looks like in this plan. So if you go in and you look at what the proposed schedule is, the first 3 projects that they mentioned for the remainder of this year and next year are the Mills to Alcoa Connector Trail. Well, we've already received a $200,000 grant for that. McClellan's wrapping up the design phase. We plan to bid that out this summer and hopefully have that completed. Yes, sir.
What page was that on?
The connector trail or the
proposed. 259.
Thank you.
Thank
So, that's something that we've been talking about for a while. We've received a grant for it, and hopefully we'll have that completed by next summer, where people can enjoy connecting to Mills Park from Alcoa Park and the Parkway. The second thing is the pool pad. That's something we've talked about over and over again. So that's not going to be surprise to anyone whenever we come and say, hey, part of this plan is to replace that pool pack so that we can continue the life of our aquatics facility. Currently with that, Batson is wrapping up their study. We hope to have their study completed by next month. And in that, we'll be ready to start the process to bid out and look for a replacement for that pool pack to have that done next summer and ready to go by the winter of 25, 26. And then the third thing is the Bishop Park parking lot lighting. I mean, that's something that we've been talking about for years is a major safety concern. I kind of looked back through some of my things for tonight on that and found an email from the softball board that they sent me in 2020 talking about their safety concerns with that lighting. So I know that we've talked about it multiple times. We're still looking for a grant on that. Rebecca, she knows that is our grant writer. She knows that's top priority. And so, those are the things that as you see are right there at the top of this. So, when you adopt this master plan, it's not like we're going to come out or I'm going to come out of, nowhere asking for all this money to build these new things. The things right before us are the stuff that we've already been talking about. And, the elephant in the room is that the AMP initiative didn't pass in November. And so we've had to make some adjustments. But at the same time, this is something that the community that we've been talking about for a long time. So we can't just say, oh, well, it failed, let's not do anything. We've got to pivot, we've got to look at getting creative, finding other sources, and that's what we're going to do. And so while we work on these things that we know that we've been talking about have to be done, that's what we'll be looking for other possible sources out there as well to find ways to move forward with the plan after this. So I know this is, as Richard said, I know this is a lot to absorb that's been brought before you tonight. If you have any questions or anything, I'll be happy to answer them. I also will be present and available for the workshop that is, I guess we have 5 Tuesdays this month, so not next Tuesday, but the following Tuesday. And so I'll be available for that as well, but we're extremely excited about it. We're so thankful to Rashin and McClellan for the work that they've done on it, for the community that's shown their involvement in it, and we're excited to get this adopted and have our roadmap for moving forward.
And that workshop's at noon?
Yeah, phone notes are
Measure hard. People that work.
Also, if you want to reach out to me or have any questions, feel free to do that as well if you can't be at that meeting.
It is a lot to absorb. We wanted to present it to you tonight, kind of where we are in our thought process for moving forward. It's flexible, it's practical, and it's data-driven, which I think makes it even better. I think over the past several years, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, I think we've kind of reacted to what the needs were. In developing our parks, we've had a lot of good support from the council over the last several years, for which we're real appreciative, but we also know that when we come back to you to seek funding and using money wisely, we think having a plan like this one that has some objective data behind it is what you need to make a good, sound decision. We're real pleased to be able to present that for your consideration and comment tonight, and then also at the workshop next meeting. And like I mentioned earlier, what we would like to do is gain council approval at the regular meeting later this month to proceed as Keith just outlined.
You look at me like I have a question. I don't. I mean, approving this is, we're just approving, this is the plan. Funding still comes back for another approval process.
Absolutely,
yes. This is just a roadmap, really.
That's what I call it.
Yeah.
And
And you can't go anywhere if you don't have a map.
in my world, a 20-year plan is more of a pipe dream. And, this is, you got to check and adjust as you move through that 20 plan, or that 20-year plan. And this is, we're going to implement this in segments, at least as is outlined in the plan. But you're exactly he can, find funding for it. Any other questions or comments? All right, if there's not, this is a workshop, then I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn the call.
It's not a meeting.
Okay, all right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.